What is up, guys? It is your boy MaineMania, and we are back with some breaking news. I'm supposed to be chilling right now, celebrating hitting 900 subs on YouTube today, and only being 100 subs away from YouTube partnership. But I can't, because the devs done dropped a bombshell on us. So, I usually don't like making videos like this or covering topics like this because they turn into flame wars, and here comes the survivor mains, here comes the killer mains, and everybody's arguing, and I don't want my content to be about that. I want us to have fun and have good, healthy discussions. Is that possible in Dead by Daylight world? Most of the times it's not, because people get really ignorant and then get a little crazy. But let's hope that we can have a decent conversation about this. Now, DS is being changed. Decisive Strike is getting, in my opinion, a very hard nerf, okay? Now, I actually knew about these changes since last March. I spoke with McLean about these in person. He did share them with me. He said that this was the direction that they were leaning in. Obviously, he told me that they weren't set in stone, but he pretty much figured that, you know, minus a few caveats here and there, this was the direction that they were gonna go with Decisive Strike. We had a pretty good discussion about it, but I wasn't so sure that they would go through with the final changes, but they have, like, literally verbatim with everything that he told me, like verbatim. So let's look at the changes really quickly and then we'll talk about it. All right. Here are the changes for Decisive Strike. For the most part, it's the same perk, right? You get unhooked, you have 60 seconds if the killer tunnels you, you know, hit a skill check, 5-second stun, blah, blah, blah. However,
hey, listen.
There are now deactivation protocols. While active, the following interactions deactivate Decisive Strike: repairing a gen, healing, cleansing a totem, saboing a hook, or unhooking others. Now, first things first, I'm sorry, Survivor mains, you're not gonna wanna hear this part, but it's the truth. DS needed changes, okay? If you play both sides, you know that DS needed changes. There were some situations where DS did not feel fair. The killer was not tunneling in any way, shape, or form. The killer may have won another chase, hooked another survivor. You know, the person with DS was trying to go aggro with it, was trying to be obnoxious, was trying to be, you know, act like they have immunity. I don't agree with that 60 seconds of immunity thing, but they try to act like they were immune, right? Maybe they have DS with Unbreakable, so they figure, hey, if he slugs me, I'll pick myself up. Whatever the case may be, there were a lot of things about DS that did not feel good or fair on the killer's end. However, I do not think they compare at all to how it feels when you're being tunneled to oblivion by a killer and you're basically helpless, right? You just came off of the hook, you're vulnerable, you're injured, you're one shot, and maybe somebody farmed you. You have no control over that. Somebody pulls you off of the hook right in front of the killer. You have no control over that as the person on the hook. So Decisive Strike was really your only way to protect against that type of behavior and bad teammates, right? Teammates that farm you and just want unhook points, you know what I mean? Even if they do have borrowed, it doesn't protect the fact that the second you hit that floor, the killer's gonna tunnel you into oblivion. DS was really the only way to protect yourself against that type of behavior and bad teammates. And in this situation, it still does that, but it almost doesn't anymore. Because now, with these new deactivation protocols, DS basically says you either get tunneled or you are completely useless for 60 seconds. And I think that's the problem with the changes. Now, hear me out. I know people are gonna go crazy, like, what do you mean it's useless? You have to think about it, guys. It's basically telling the survivor, you either get tunneled or you do nothing for 60 seconds. You do nothing for 60 seconds. So, how do we fix this? How could we possibly tweak this to make it feel a little bit better? All right, let's talk about the deactivation protocols one by one, because some of them I do think should stay. Some of them I agree with, but let's talk about them one by one, okay? Repair a generator. You know what? you're progressing the match, you're working on objectives, which, you know, does move the match forwards. So I agree with this. If you start working on gens, I do believe that it should deactivate your DS. Healing, I'm kind of 50-50 on this one, right? Because you want to give yourself an extra hit, and if you decide to heal yourself, you're only healing yourself. You're not technically progressing the actual match. You're kind of just protecting yourself. And let's be honest, if you're playing solo, you can't count on your teammates. So you definitely don't want to be injured and just stay injured for the sake of staying injured. Do you know what I mean? So I'm 50-50 on this one. I can understand that it's giving you an extra hit, but as the individual player that can't rely on his teammates, doesn't know if he's gonna get farmed, may be getting tunneled, or may, you know, be dead on hook, I can understand wanting to be healed, and I don't think you should be penalized for healing in this situation by losing your perk. 50-50 on that one. I don't really know about that. Cleansing a totem, I don't agree with this. I don't believe that cleansing a totem should deactivate DS. It is a secondary objective, but it is not a progressing the match forwards objective. I think if somebody wants to spend 14 seconds cleansing a totem while they're in their 60 seconds of DS, I don't think that should deactivate it. Same for sabotaging a hook. Once again, hooks respawn in 30 seconds. I do not think saboing a hook should deactivate your DS. It's not progressing the match forwards, and hooks respawn in 30 seconds. So what you're doing is basically not really having a big impact on the match. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't think that is reasonable to lose your perk over. And then unhooking others, I agree with this. I do think if you unhook somebody else, you should lose your DS. I don't think you should use it of I have DS, I'm gonna go bomb somebody else's hook, unhook them, killer can't pick me up because I have a free DS. I definitely do agree with that. So if you were to say, let's just play devil's advocate and say, DS will deactivate if you progress the match forwards, meaning if you repair a gen or if you unhook somebody else. Those are the two I definitely agree with, right? This is just my personal opinion. You can add healing to that. Once again, I was 50-50 on it, but you can add healing to that. Okay, now, in my opinion, that nerf is a little bit more palatable. But I hear a lot of people on the survivor side complaining, oh, but there's skill, there's skill. Maine, can you talk? Can you talk English? Well, I still hear a lot of survivors saying, oh, but there's still this really difficult skill check. One, it's not that difficult, but you know, skill checks aren't everybody's biggest strength, right? There's a lot of people on my channel that struggle with that immensely. So believe me, I know. And if you don't know, watch my Dead by Daylight videos. You'll see them blowing up my gens 24/7. So, right? People will say, oh, but there's still a skill check. So what they would like to see, okay, if you're gonna add deactivation protocols, make it so that there is no skill check and that it's an automatic DS. I think there should be a skill check. Sorry, survivors, I'm not on your side for this one. You know, I'm 50-50 on if they should do it or not, but I think there should be a skill check. I still think you should have to hit that skill check. What I will say that I think they should do if they do plan on implementing these deactivation protocols is I think if they should make it so that if you are getting tunneled, right, and you are put into the dying state, you don't lose your DS. Meaning, if the killer tunneled you, they cannot slug you. If they made that one change, I think DS is still in a good place. I'm sure killer maids are gonna go crazy like, wait, what did he just say? What I'm saying is, if you were still tunneled, right? You didn't get on a gen, you didn't heal, you didn't cleanse a totem, you didn't sabo a hook, you didn't unhook others. You still got tunneled, you got downed, but now the killer wants to slug you out for your timer. I think that timer should freeze. Because technically you were still tunneled And now these changes make it a strict anti-tunneling perk. So I think you should still have to hit your skill check, but I think the timer for DS should freeze at that point since you were absolutely tunneled. The new DS does make it a more true anti-tunneling perk, even though the devs have gone on in the past to say it is not a strict anti-tunneling perk. That is how it was mostly rebranded from the original Decisive Strike changes. The original Decisive Strike was a second chance perk. That was the purpose of it. It was a second chance perk. You got a second chance to save yourself if you got caught by the killer. The rebranded Decisive, aka the 60-second version, was rebranded as an anti-tunneling perk because it only activates after you have been hooked. And within the 60 seconds after being unhooked, that's when you had an opportunity to use it. So, I'm not crazy about the changes. I think some tweaks can make them okay. I think as it stands with this version, I think it kills the perk because once again, it renders the survivor useless. You either get tunneled or do nothing. And how many killers are just gonna tunnel you anyways, wait for you to try to get healed, wait for you to tap a gen, wait for you to touch a totem, and now no, it's open season, now I can just down you and hook you for free. It just renders you useless. Do you use a perk slot for a perk that is so easy to lose? Like you will almost get no use out of it. Do you know what I mean? And 60 seconds may sound like a lot of time, I know for a very high level and high skilled survivor, it can be an eternity and they can get massive use out of that 60 seconds. But for the casual and average player base, most of them, 60 seconds is not enough. Do you know what I mean? For a high level player, they can outrun the killer for 60 seconds, almost at will, seemingly, right? Good loopers and things like that, players of that nature and that caliber, they can outrun the killer for 60 seconds. So you still got tunneled, but you outran the timer. So the perk almost became useless to you. I hate running Decisive. Anyone that watches my gameplay, I complain about it all the time. I hate that I have to run a perk to discourage the killer from tunneling me. I hate it. I don't want to run DS, but you almost feel like you have to. And I play 95% of my matches solo. I know, I'm a special breed. Why do I torture myself like this? I have no friends, okay? No, jokes aside though, guys, let me know what you guys think about these changes to DS. Once again, I personally think the tweaks that I would make to these changes are, I would take away the ability for it to deactivate for healing, cleansing a totem, and saboing a hook, and I would make it so that if the killer downed you within that 60 seconds, the timer was frozen and you still got a chance to hit the skill check if the killer tried to slug out your DS. I think they should take away that ability from it if they really do want to make it a true anti-tunneling perk, right? You're addressing a lot of the negatives of DS, and you're also addressing one of the biggest factors of it basically becoming useless for the person using the perk. I know a lot of people aren't going to agree with me on it, and that's perfectly okay. Give me your ideas. Give me your suggestions in the comment section below. I just don't think this is it. I don't think this is it. And when I spoke with the devs about it in person, I literally was saying to them, but these are the exact points that I brought up. I said, you basically, so the problem is a lot of people use DS aggressively, right? They use it as the killer main term, right? 60 seconds of immunity, right? They go aggro, they try to be annoying, they try to bait the killer, and they try to find aggressive, offensive ways to use the perk. And it's very frustrating when that happens to you as killer. I can understand that. However, these changes take that away for the most part. They mostly take that away. But now, if you put this exact set of changes in place, all the survivor can do is that. all they can do is that, because they can't do anything else. They can't work on gens, they can't heal, they can't even cleanse a totem. All they can do is be tunneled, which is the whole purpose either running this for the most part, because they just don't want to be tunneled. Not everybody, obviously some people use it just to go aggro, right? But they can either be tunneled, do absolutely nothing, or go ultra aggro and be annoying to the killer, knowing that they have their DS. So I don't think it addresses that problem. I don't think these changes address that problem. I definitely think it's a step in the right direction. I just don't think this is it. I know a lot of Survivor mains are requesting that the skill check be removed. I don't agree with that. Sorry, guys. Calling it down the middle. I play both sides. Calling it down the middle, I think there should be a skill check. You should have to hit the skill check. It's an extremely powerful perk. You shouldn't get it for free. Okay? You should not get it for free. I think you should have to hit a skill check. What are your ideas? What do you guys think can fix DS? I just don't think this is it. I just don't think that this is it. Anyhow, guys, that's what I got for you. DS is being changed. I definitely think this takes away the majority of the utility of DS, and I think this strictly makes it an anti-tunneling perk. I think it will still get used because, once again, if you play solo or you play as much solo as I do, it's all you got. It's the only thing you can run to protect yourself from bad teammates or, you know, a killer that loves to camp and tunnel. It's the only thing that can protect you from those playstyles. And it's unfortunate that now you just have to stay injured and do nothing for 60 seconds to live 60 seconds longer, but it doesn't really do much for you when someone can easily just slug you for the timer and then you're basically rendered useless. So I don't know. At this point, I'm rambling. I would love to hear your ideas in the comment section below. And guys, another reminder, if you guys are new to the channel and you are not yet subscribed, please go ahead and do so. I upload Dead by Daylight videos almost every single day. I have 2 different Dead by Daylight playlists, and they are both reverse playlists. I have one for all Dead by Daylight content, and then I have one for just my killer matches. Every time I upload a new video, the newest video is always the first video in the playlist, so that you guys don't have to scroll through over 500 videos to find the newest episodes. The newest episode is always the first episode, so makes it nice and easy for you guys to catch up on my gameplay and catch up on the videos that you guys missed. Hopefully you guys enjoy that, and hopefully you guys check out my Dead by Daylight content. I want to thank you guys in advance for being civil in the comment section below. Share your ideas, don't knock others. Maybe, you know, offer suggestions or offer some counter arguments, but guys, let's have a civil conversation. Let's not come at each other's heads over this. It's just a game, it's just a perk, and at the end of the day, we all play the game to have fun. What may be fun for you may not be fun for others. What may be a legit strategy for you may not be a legit strategy for others as well. So let's try to be civil. Let's have a good conversation. I want to thank you guys for watching. Hopefully I'll be at 1,000 subs soon, and we'll have to do something special for that. So on that note, thank you for watching. It's your boy MaineMania, and I'm out. Peace.